Moving on to our next focus now, which has got to do with our preparations for elections. You've seen several scenarios about INEC talking to politicians, INEC talking about how we're preparing for these elections. You've seen reports of INEC handing the voter register to political parties some time ago. But then recently, we understand that some political parties seem to disagree with some guidelines of INEC. So how do all of this play out in the scheme of things as we prepare for 2019 elections? Well, we're joined now by Dr. Abiodun Adeniyi, who is a senior lecturer, Mass Communication Department, Bayes University, Abuja. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today on the program. Well, in terms of how the kind of steps the Commission is taking concerning the elections and the reactions we've seen from politicians, does that in any way suggest to you that it may not go as planned, or this is just usual hitches, or you believe we'll sort it out at the end of the day?
Yeah, good morning, viewers, and thanks, Chamberlain and the company for having me on. What I think it is that in the psychology of build-ups to election, to any major election, you begin to have fears, you have suspicion, you have conjectures, and you have hypotheses coming from interest groups, from political parties, because no group will want to be outdone in the election process. By the end of the day, you just find out that these are just fears that at the end of the election itself may amount to nothing. It could just be things that we could call things that are full. There will be so many sounds and fury that will amount to nothing at the end of the day. I think what we need to do at the moment, Chamberlain, is to invest our hope in INEC as an agency. They may not be perfect, but we do need to invest our hope in them and shelve recriminations, reprimands. We cannot continue to badger them down and expect some level of performance from them. I remember in the build-up to 2015 election, we had similar situation. But of course, just a simple thing happened. Okay, somebody, a sitting president, considered victory. Okay, and at the end of the day, there was peace in the land. We moved on from there. What we need to do in this circumstance is to consolidate on the gain we made in 2015. And how do we do this consolidation? We have to do it by having faith in the umpire. The umpire, like I said, may not be perfect, but we need to have faith in them. And we need to believe that it can get done just like we did it in 2015. Okay? At the end of the day, if, for instance, we have President Buhari losing in the election, he needs to congratulate the winner and step down graciously the way it happened in 2015. We do not have to go back to our history of unnecessary contention. Okay, this is the 21st century, and we need to move on as quickly as possible. And if at the end of the day, again, the president wins, the opposition,
Dr. Adeniyi,
as they are, be it Atiku, be it Benga Olajuwon,
if you allow me to come in here,
I'm
I'm sorry, my apologies butting in like that, but I must ask you this question because it just resonates. Do you believe that we can have free, fair, and credible elections with the restrictions that INEC is facing now? Say, for instance, the transmission of results electronically and the use of the card reader.
Free, fair, and credible election, like I said, is a destination. It's a process. You cannot have a perfect election. We do not. I've never seen or recorded any perfect election anywhere in the world. It's a destination that we hope to get to. And we're making progress. Like I said, there was a milestone in 2015. We can consolidate on that, okay, by having all the parties understand that election is not necessarily a do or die affair. Yes, we understand what it means, what power means in this part of the world. But again, we have to come to a stage where we begin to disorient ourselves from this warped understanding of value, from our thinking, from the thought that, okay, it's only by associating with government, it's only by wielding political power that you can make contributions to society. We have quite a number of individuals in this country some of them are dead, some of them are still living. We have Wole Soyinka, we have Chino Achebe, we have Archbishop Olubunmi Okoge, Father Kuka, Sheikh Abubakar Gumi. These are superstars in their own right. And from the last time I checked, I never had them mounting the soapbox. Okay? But they have contributed immensely, and they are still contributing to the society in which they lived in, or in which they are living in. Okay? So we do not have to, we do need to understand that we can still contribute to society, to our system, without necessarily being political.
The question is, I'm sorry, Doctor. The question is, do you believe that we can have credible elections, free, fair, and credible elections, with the restrictions and constraints that INEC is facing, i.e., the electronic transmission of results, and also looking at the card reader?
Yeah, I was saying that free, fair, and credible election is a process, it's a destination. We will get there at the appropriate time. But now we are building a process. But to the specific of electronic transfer of result, you understand the kind of country we live in. Okay, we are still an underdeveloped country. Forget about the razzmatazz about connectivity in urban centers. There's still substantial problem in other centers, in the countrysides. Okay, where we have problems of power, and we have a problem of affordability as well. So how do you ensure, how are we sure that if we deploy to these things, that we'll begin to use these things to the maximum level as we are anticipating, just like that at the end of the day, we will not have reasons to regret the decision we have taken. So it's okay
if you say
gradually, steadily.
Right. If you say that credible elections is a process and that we'll get there someday, but as we're preparing for this 2015 elections, in that context, where would you say we are in the process?
Again, it's important to also say that our political culture is evolving. If you ask me, very frankly, I will give us 60%. And 60% by all means, as a teacher, I will tell you, is not too bad. All we need to do, most importantly, is to invest some faith in our agencies. They are not perfect, but we need to build them so we can stabilize our system, our society. But again, we cannot build them coming from the sky. We have to build them through our own support, the support of the populace, believing that they can get us to the required destination. Okay? And this is not to say that, yes, we could criticize them, we could call them out, we could call them to action, but as long as they are also seeing some of our criticism, some of our calls, as calls to action, as a wake-up call.
On what basis are you giving the 60%?
Sorry, say that again, please.
On what basis are you awarding the 60%?
Well, first of all, we have seen what they have told us about the originals. We have listened to the commissioners, how materials have arrived, how materials are being distributed to sections of the country. We have seen the creation of awareness, the conscientization going on. We have seen assurances given us that they have timelines, they have stages to meet ahead of the election, and we have seen how they have told us the extent to which they have reached, as we're discussing now. Okay? If you look at it, we're about 60, 70% into that process. And we've not been told, as it were, that there's a hitch or that there's a problem at any stage of this preparation. So if we look at all these, this scenario, we just need to be optimistic, okay? And get the political parties, the actors, the contestants, okay, the candidates, to invest more hope in the process, and the populace too, to believe that if we could do it in 2015, when we thought that it was going to be Armageddon, this one should be an easier stage for us to cross. Okay? Like I said, our institutions are not necessarily perfect, and we know institutions are pillars, institutions are the bedrock of societies, okay? But even in their imperfection, we can help them to get to the stage that we want them to be as a nation.